I remember when the Kumari was first announced, before we ever saw a card in the pack. I was really excited. I so wanted to love the ship because I love Shran. Shran was a fantastic character on Enterprise. He brought a great dynamic. His interactions with Archer were perfect. They were spot on. And Shran was the perfect foil. Now, we fast forward to a year and a third after the Kumari came out. It came out in January of 2016. And the Kumari is a decent ship. Shran is an okay captain. But nothing about the pack truly stands out. Now, we'll get into the specifics, but I can't help but feeling like they just didn't give it the gusto that it truly deserved. So first off, it's an independent faction pack. It's okay. I mean, Andorians weren't Federation at the time they existed, but they became... I don't know. Enough backstory. The Kumari, 22 points, 3143. Crew, double weapon, tech. You may perform an evade or scan action while there is an Aux power token beside your ship. It's a neat ability. It's not a perfect ability. It's more meant for defense rather than offense, which it's fine with me. I've used that ability before. It didn't really help. It kind of led to more death than anything else. That's life sometimes. Real life. Obviously not life in the game. The Kumari's a fine ship. It's got a 180 arc. It maneuvers like a Constitution class, except it has a 3 come about instead of a reverse maneuver. I guess that makes it more like a cavort. But that's okay. The 180 forward arc is useful. You can certainly make it work. The ship is a viable ship for flanking operations. What it is not is a straight-out basher bruiser. The generic loses a weapon slot, so you go crew, weapon, tech. That much is fine. Loses a shield, so 6 total durability, 3 attack dice for 20 points. That fits into Enterprise era, lines up against Xindi stuff, fits well against Vulcan ships, or with Vulcan ships. It's fine. That's the best I can say. It's fine. Shran is a skill 6 captain with a talent slot. That much is good. And he synergizes very well with the Kumari. I love that kind of synergy. That stuff is built in. It's nice to see those abilities working together. I wish there was more of a reason to run a captain with their ship, but it is what it is. So yeah, Shran's okay. He's not the best. Skill 6 hurts him, but he is certainly playable, and that's alright. So, upgrades. We've got a talent, it's diversion. Interesting card. I like being able to jump in, become the target instead of somebody else, make them roll less dice. It works well if you have other means of reducing their dice prior to them attacking, things like Ferengi EM pulse. You can almost make them attack with no attack dice at some point. Is it a talent that's truly worth 5 points? No, I don't think so. But it's out there. It's got potential. It's not fantastic, though. Our crew is Talus. She's got an interesting idea for an effect, being able to share tokens, but the limited range hurts, and the fact that you can only use it defensively, again, it really hurts. But there's something there. I don't like that she's a discard. Being able to use that one time just really hurts. It's a bit punitive. So ultimately, a good effect, but just something that costs too much in terms of both price point and the negatives associated with the card to be of any productive use. For weapons, we have advanced weaponry. It's an okay weapon. The boosted attack is nice, especially for low attack die independent ships, and being able to search for those particular crits. It can be productive if your opponent has those things. That's the discard a secondary weapon or reduce their primary attack value. So those are reasonable crits. They're not the best crits, but they can be if your opponent's running a really effective and annoying weapon against you. So there's a time and a place for it. The other weapon is Particle Cannon Array. This is one where, unless you're running Sakona, I don't think it's worth it to only boost your attack by 1 die for 3 points. Plus, that's only every other turn. Maybe it's worth it for Tholian ships if you get a weapon slot on it, but there's probably better cards to put on it. Particle Cannon Array is a pretty straightforward card. Not a lot to say there. And then we have 2 tech. First up, we have Long Range Sensors. Conditional extra defense die. Nice once, but then it's an action to ever get it again, and that's not good. I'm not spending my action to get 1 more defense die. And you wouldn't even get the extra defense die the round you use it, because you wouldn't have the scan to trigger it. Not worth it. Tractor Beam. That's the last card in the pack. Kind of worth it. Being able to help a friendly ship and give them a bonus die. It's a very costly card to take, both in terms of points and an action. It's a one-time effect. Limited targeting range. Range 1 only. I don't ever see myself running it, but if I had to escort a ship that had limited maneuvering, I might run this just to get them that extra move. For instance, yesterday's Enterprise was completely rewritten. Like, there was no way that the damaged ship could perform an extra maneuver on its own, by its own action, or fleet action, or any card abilities. Then this would be a card that you'd want to take just to help it along a little bit more. It wouldn't be great, but it would at least have a use at that point. So I'm sure there's some mission play for this card. I think there's some use, but ultimately it's not a great card. So overall, this pack kind of boils down to Shran and the Kumari. Those are the cards that are going to see any OP play. I think they're the only ones I've ever run. Craig's utilized Diversion, and I can see Diversion being a thing. It's playable. It's build dependent, but it's playable. The rest of the pack is just overpriced or underpowered or just weirdly written. It tries to explore new things, but the new things just don't work. I applaud them for the creativity, but it's just not there. So, if you love Shran and you love the Andorians like I do, get this pack, because it's fun. The mission's pretty good, at least in terms of what I heard from Dave Griffin, and that's what I know from that. If that doesn't appeal to you, then don't bother with this pack, because there's not a lot to it in terms of those gotta have 'em cards. They're going to win at nationals type cards. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening, and until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care.